Hey, Brandon here. Welcome to the channel and thanks for tuning in. We got a Futures Dynasty show here today all about running backs. All right, we're going to fast forward to the future. Let's just say that it's going to be June 1st and you are excited about your Upstart Devy League, your Upstart C2C League, and you're going to be looking at what the 2025 and 2026 draft classes look like when it comes to the running back position. All right, so that's what this show is going to be all about. The 2024 rookie draft is over, and then it's going to be looking to the future, the 2025 draft class, 2026 draft classes. Who in college football, what running backs in college football are the names to know now for your future rookie picks in 2025 and 2026? Good way to value those picks as well. My podcast co-host tonight, Jason DiRienzo, we're going to give you our top 6 each running backs in college football right now. They're not going to be eligible for 2024, but they're going to be eligible for 2025 and 2026. All right. So this is going to be an insert here from our podcast. And we did a show like this for quarterbacks, so go check that out. That's been posted already on this channel. And then we just recorded our wide receiver show, and I'll be putting that out there as well, probably in the next week or so. So hit that subscribe button, man. You're looking for a channel out there to give you an early look at future Dynasty players. Hit that subscribe button. All right, enjoy the show. I'm gonna roll out the red carpet to you, my good friend. I am gonna let you kick us off on who your number one Devy running back is, and this is again after the 2024 draft. Imagine the 2024 draft is over. It's May 1st, middle of May, and you start thinking about your C2C supplemental drafts and startup drafts and Devy drafts. Who's the first running back that you're taking?
First running back I would be taking is Texas true freshman CJ Baxter. One of the reasons why I'd be going after him is when I look at my group of running backs, I'm trying to think who has the potential with the skill set, the opportunity, the scheme, the offense that they're in, the size, who has the potential to have the draft capital that I want to make sure
Sure.
that makes me feel good that the opportunity is going to be there. And I think CJ Baxter can get that. And unfortunately, now that Jonathan Brooks is going to be out, we're going to see a lot more of CJ Baxter in this offense. So as bad as I feel for Jonathan Brooks, because he has patiently waited for his opportunity and he showcased himself so well, I am excited to see CJ Baxter in a role where there's not a lot of competition that he has to face in that backfield. So CJ Baxter, to me, coming out, he just looked like that primed and ready running back that looks like he could be a very high draft pick when he comes out in the NFL draft. And because of the usage, because of his pass catching ability, the size, the explosiveness, the physical strength, I really like everything that he delivers. And I think he could be an all around good running back on an NFL team when that time comes. So CJ Baxter is my number one.
Yeah, I like it. He's not very far down the list for me either. Not to be a alert spoiler, but my guy, I'm going to go with Katron Allen as my number one. All right, so this might be a little spicy. I don't know, but I've been watching every damn Penn State game with my son going there as a freshman this year, and I like what I see from him. For me, about running backs, it's all about footwork. I want to see guys that have footwork, pad level, play strength, but you have to be able to move laterally. And I'll tell you, he had 2 or 3 runs this past weekend. I know they lost. That showed me that this guy, given his size, you want to talk about size is important, 5'11", 220, right? He's got that going for him. But I think the guy has good vision and the ability to redirect at the line of scrimmage and see cutback lanes and make guys miss and shed tacklers. He looks like the real deal to me. And again, man, this Devy running back thing, man, you and I have talked about this off the show a lot. It's freaking tough, man, because the values of these players, guys, they change all the time from year to year. I mean, just look at who's getting drafted right now in 2024. Like Jonathan Brooks was like up there, Estime from Notre Dame, who no one talked about a year ago. I mean, there's going to be guys that emerge and leapfrog these guys that we think. So I have to just go with my eyes. I have to just trust what I see. And Katron Allen to me looks like a complete back and comes from a program. You were just talking about where they come and play from. I mean, Penn State has been putting running backs in the NFL for quite some time. So, Katron Allen's going to be my number one.
The number one thing I noticed with Katron Allen in this past game too is they line him up out wide as at receiver. I like the blocking too. He seemed like a pretty effective blocker. I think the mechanics need some improvement, but when you talk about an all-around running back, that's the type of running back the NFL is going to covet. So I understand the logic where Allen is, and he definitely has been tremendous this season. I'm going to go over to my next guy, and that is going to be Florida running back Trevor Etienne. That the thing that is easy to see is his explosiveness right off the jump when he gets the
Mhm.
ball. There's tempo in the patience of understanding the gap assignments, so he'll allow gaps to develop. Sometimes he can be over eager, but as this season progressed, Florida wasn't really giving the backfield much opportunity, so he really had to understand and learn very quickly the mental processing of what lanes are developing and what his offensive linemen are giving him. And I think he's done a pretty solid job. I love the long speed. If you give him the
Yeah.
ball and you get him in open space, he's gone. So the playmaking ability is absolutely there. I think he can be a very functional receiver at the same time if he just was allowed more opportunity to do so. But the explosiveness, the footwork, the quick adjustments to kind of change direction, the long speed, he's got everything I think a playmaker in the NFL would need to thrive. And he's got his brother to kind of help him out along the way too. So Trevor
Mhm.
Etienne, super stoked about him. 5'9", 213. That's a size I love. He's my number 2.
Yeah, I like it. He's not far down my list either. I'm letting you go first. You're going to end up talking about all these people. I'm not going to waste everyone's time saying all the great same things because my number two is
Smart
CJ
man.
Baxter, right? And
Yeah,
rightfully so. Sometimes the unknown is better than what you've seen and are disappointed with. And you'll see
for
kind of
sure.
as I go through my list, there's some guys that aren't on my list that are probably going to be a little bit surprising. But I agree with you what you said about him. I mean, again, footwork to me, saw him navigate through the line of scrimmage, picking his way through the gaps and making guys miss, setting up, being defensive, manipulating to defenders and stuff. Just understands the position really well. So CJ Baxter, um, you know, is a great pick. I mean, I think he's going to be probably the tops of most people's lists.
He's a phenomenal back.
Mhm.
My next guy is going to be Ole Miss running back Quinshon Judkins. This past game, I definitely came away impressed with just some of the fluid nature in his ability to kind of hit the perimeter, go up the middle if needed. But I also like the fact that he understands pursuit angles and how to exploit them and evade them. Safeties will kind of come at an angle, and he knows exactly the timing in which to cut and get into an open space in order to make more yards than what would have happened if he did not understand the pursuit angles of defenders. He doesn't have quick agility, like he's not going to change direction quickly, but there's subtle footwork within his ability to kind of navigate between the tackles. I think he's got enough burst to get the perimeter. I'm not sure about the long speed, but I think there's enough juice there to, be a playmaker within 20, 30 yards if need to get a big play. And I like the functional strength. He squares up his shoulders. He knows exactly the timing in which he wants to hit the oncoming defender, and he's got great contact balance. And I do think that as a receiver, he could be used a lot more. He has
Mhm.
17 receptions this year so far. He had 15 last year, so he's getting used more as a receiver. And in this previous game too, he was the focal point of that offense. Ole Miss couldn't get anything going, and Judkins was the only one that could be relied upon. Had 2 touchdowns in that game, and over his 2 years already, he's got almost 2,500 yards, 30 touchdowns on the ground to just 2 fumbles. So I do like what Quinshon Judkins delivers. I like the size at 5'11", 210. And he reminds me of Kareem Hunt a little bit coming out. I don't think he's got the fluid
Mhm.
navigation ability to ignite his agility and change direction. But the subtle footwork and the mental processing, I do like, and the functional strength is absolutely there. So Judkins is my number 3.
Yeah, there's no doubt the man's not, he's got the play strength. There's no doubt about it. He's a
Mhm.
tough physical player. I love backs who just lower the boom on guys,
Oh, yeah. And he squares the shoulders. I don't see that very often.
that's you and I've talked about that very often when it comes to running
Yeah.
backs. So number three for me is Trevor Etienne. Again, I think you and I have talked about him on this podcast for quite some time.
Mhm.
I agree with everything that you said. His footwork, I remember, as a freshman 2 years ago, or last year rather, he, did a couple dead leg, lateral moving, making guys miss, reaccelerated that got you excited as a potential back. And you kind of mentioned it before, and I'll just mention it real quickly. I mean, he rubbed shoulders with his brother all off season, hanging around NFL players, and he kind of wants to be as good as his brother. So that motivation alone, intangibles matter. I'm all in on him. I think he's going to work hard. It's a shame. I'd love to see him transfer out of Florida and go to a team that could like really use him and not have him be a committee kind of guy where they could feed him the ball, 20 times a game to really see what he could do. Because I think if he did, his stats would be a lot better than they are now.
Yeah, I agree with that. Well, Montrell Johnson shouldn't be there, and Etienne should really be able to showcase himself next
Right,
season. So
right.
hopefully that's the case. My next guy is going to be Alabama running back Justice Haynes, and this is one of my favorites coming out as well. I think most people had C.J. Baxter, Justice Haynes 1 and 2 in that class,
Hmm.
and rightfully so. I think Justice Haynes he's an all around back too. I think he is a good pass catcher, even though we didn't really get a chance to see it in his high school film. But I watched some of the training videos and some of the practices, and he sure looks like a national hands catcher to me. I like the physical strength that he has running between the tackles and the outside. Now, I have the majority of my knowledge and my projection and my scouting from his high school film because he didn't really get too much opportunity this year. But everything that made me fall in love with him out of high school, he's on Alabama. I really think that he could be one of the guys that maybe not like this year, he didn't get much run, but I think next year we
Yeah,
could see
I
a
do
lot
too.
more from him. And I
Yeah.
think he has the intangibles, the off the field where he could be great in the locker room. He just seems like a guy the NFL is going to love. He had 6,000 rushing yards in his high school career. That's absurd. So, yeah, Justice Haynes, I'm all about it, and I'm a big fan.
Yeah, he's my number 4 too, so we'll roll right into that. I did a, YouTube on the YouTube channel here. I did his spring game,
Mhm.
and he showcased
Oh,
all
he
those
looked great.
skills. He did.
Yeah.
I mean, and catching the ball out of the backfield on
Yep.
multiple occasions. So as we know with Devy running backs, we love the guys that catch the ball out of the backfield. But
For
yeah, I mean,
sure.
I would love to see when McClellan leaves, and that maybe they just turn the page with him and been like, here you go. It'll be Milrow and Haynes back there, just killing it next year. Giving them a chance to win. But yeah, he's he's a good player for sure. So who's you got number 5?
Number 5 is your number 1, Kaytron Allen. And, something that I was really taken back by is I thought the snap share had to be different between him and Nick Singleton. And honestly, they were pretty on point throughout the entire season. I think it was the Ohio State game. Nick Singleton had more snaps, but Kaytron Allen was doing much more with the ball with almost the same amount of snaps as Nick Singleton. That says a lot too. And because when you watch live gameplay, and I'm sure you could see it too, you really would think that Kaytron Allen was getting more snaps, the usage he
Hmm.
was getting, because it's like, where was Nick Singleton? It's like you
Hmm.
barely even saw him, but the snaps were almost the same. So for Allen to be able to pull that off, that's a testament to his ability too. But he is my number 5.
Yeah, it's a good player. I like him a lot. So, all right, I'm
Yep.
going to go off a little spicy here at number 5, and I'm going to go with the Marion Hampton. He is second leading rusher right now in college football. He's got the PFF grade number 1 running back grade in college football. That's not really why I have him ranked at number 5. I like him because I think he has got the ability now. The one thing that I want to see more of is that lateral movement. But again, he's young.
Mhm.
All right. He was a
Yep.
freshman last year. It was him and Petaway, and then something happened, and then all of a sudden he's been the cow. He's the bell cow now. He is the guy running the rock, and I'm going to base my projections on a lot of things that I like on his film: his contact balance, his physicality. I think he's got really good vision. Through the line of scrimmage. The one thing he can't do is probably really dead leg and redirect yet. But as you know, when we did our trade episode a couple weeks ago, I traded Judkins away for a Marion Hampton and a pick in a supplemental draft. So, we'll see how that pans out. But in any case, I like what I see with this guy. Javonte Williams, he kind of reminds me a little bit of him. Javonte Williams had a little bit more of that lateral ability, but this guy is a bruiser, and I really like what I see. And I think, he's got another, he might play another 2.5 years and not even go to the NFL till he's a senior. But he's kind of got that Zach Charbonnet kind of feel to him watching his game.
There's no doubt that can you I can't think of another player who literally went from almost 0 to he's leading college football in a way right now with just how he's performing.
Mhm.
The transition and development is undeniable. So yeah, I completely understand why you have him so high, and I love the play strength. He's a brute. My last guy at number 6 is going to be Nick Singleton, Penn State running back. I thought about who else I would put in these spots, and as I looked through the list, honestly, it's like there's a tier break for me after Katron Allen, and there's a group of guys. And I think
Yeah.
the upside of Nick Singleton still could be good. The fall off is undeniable this year. And even last year, we were questioning because Allen at times looked better than Nick Singleton. But hey, there's a freshman season where he had over 1,000 yards rushing, 12 touchdowns, did have 3 fumbles, but his yak ability, man, he was gaining yards after contact. You could see the lower pads. Like there was a lot there, and his elusiveness was a lot better. This year, he has a 28 elusive rating with PFF. There's definitely something not right. He fell behind. There's vision issues, but I undeniably believe in the skill set, the athleticism. He just needs that mental processing to be a lot quicker. That's the last time, like I saw in this past game from an all 22 film that was on Twitter. I want to see him run into the back of his offensive lineman.
Yeah.
Was a huge gap. He's got to improve that.
Right.
So the improvement is what I'm going to be looking for, but Singleton for me is still number 6 based on that gap and group that I have in this tier break.
Yeah, he's tough for me. I'm not gonna lie. I mean,
It's a tough, yeah, he's tough for me too.
I know he was a 5-star and all that, but watching these Penn State games, man, I don't know. There's other guys that are more exciting to me. And like I mentioned before, we got these guys that leapfrog all the guys that we think are supposed to be great.
Right.
So my number 6
Yep.
guy, and this goes against every core in my body of looking and getting excited about a Pac-12 running back because my feeling on Pac-12 running backs. I mean,
I know.
I'm a Bucky Irving fan. I think he's going to break the mold for me in the 2024 class because I probably have him ranked higher than most people. But I'm going to go with
Yeah,
Damian
he deserves it though.
Martinez here from Oregon State. Man, I've watched 3 or 4 games. I've made 1 or 2 films and put it on the channel, and I just like what I see, man. There was this one game that his last game, he had 4 touchdowns where he was running to the left side. It was like on the 4 or 5 yard line,
I know exact play you're talking about.
and he stopped and went to the right. And I loved that ability. And he's
Mhm.
got the size. He's a true bruiser, but I liked his navigation in the second level. I liked how he set up, his blocks. I just like him as a player. And just my own eyeballs watching him. So if I'm going to watch Singleton and kind of think of all, if I didn't know he was a 5-star, and so that's what I try and do, right? When I watch film on players, I'm
Right.
like, okay, I'm not going to helmet, scout you or anything. I'm just going to watch your movement skills, see how you attack, like the angles, like you spoke about earlier. And yeah, does he run through some gaping holes? Yes. Do Pac-12 tacklers stink? Yes. But you can really, if you watch the film, I think the right way, you can see the movement skills of the players. And that's what I look for. Not really so much the scheme is, what do they see and how do they move and want to follow what their eyeballs are telling them to do. So I'm going to go with the guy that I think, really productive too, 1,000 yards. I mean, he was a freshman last year and had 900 and something yards, and he has 1,000 yards again this year. He's been
Highly
really
productive.
highly productive, and you don't want to scout productivity because most of the college players that are productive never make it to our dynasty rosters. So I just like what I saw. I'm a Martinez fan, and it shames me as a Pac-12 concerner to go down this road, but I'm going down it anyway.
Well, you are also an evaluator, and what you see in the mechanical movements of a running back that get you interested as far
Hmm.
as what could translate to the next level. I agree with you. I mean, he has those things. It's just how would he do facing, better competition?
Sure,
And
that's absolutely
that's the
right.
only question. But the foundation of his skill set, obviously, you got
Yeah.
to be happy with.
So,
So,
all right, guys, there you go. There's our top 6 Devy running backs each for Jason and I. So I'm glad we had some different names on there. I think the wide receiver one that we
mhm.
do next week, I think it's going to be probably
Oh,
offer a little variety
that
of
one's
names.
gonna be crazy.
And maybe what we should do is take out Luther Burden and the kid from Texas A&M, Evan Stewart, and then
Evan Stewart, take
yeah,
those both out.
take them
I don't
out.
if you wanna
Take them
do
out.
that, 'cause,
Yeah.
can we just say that they're number 1 and 2 for us? Is that what we're
Well,
doing?
Luther Burden would be my one, and probably I'd have to take another look, but we'll get to that anyway.